Okay, we're going to go ahead and kick off our discussion of arrays with the indexed array. Okay, so what is an array? You might be wondering. Well, an array lets you store multiple values for a variable in a single association. So for instance, let's say we want to have many varieties of fruit. You could have an array of fruit whose values could be any one of apples, oranges, grapes, or pears, for instance. Okay, so you've got all these different options of apples, oranges, grapes, and pears, but they're all stored within the single association of the variable fruit. Okay, let's real quickly discuss the three main types of arrays, though, before we go too deeply into indexed. There are three main types. There's the indexed array, the associative array, and the multidimensional array. And those are in the order of sort of complexity, index being the most simple, and multidimensional being the most complex. Okay, so all arrays have two components to each item within the array. It's a key and a value. And if I ever refer to an item in array, I am referring to the pair of key and value. Okay? So what makes an array an indexed array? Let's look at the anatomy of that. Okay, so an indexed array can be made by assigning just a set of values, because the indexed array keys are always integers. And what that means basically is that PHP, because the keys are integers for indexed arrays, PHP can auto-assign those keys in the order the values are basically assigned in the declaration of the array. And we're going to look at an example here in just a second. So the key is sort of like a bookmark to help us easily find its respective value. Okay, so for example, we can use that idea of the fruit as an array, and it can hold apples, oranges, grapes, and pears, right? So this is the way that we would declare it. We would type out the standard form of a variable, so $ fruit equals, and then you type the array function. So basically the array function is the word array in the parentheses, and anything that's inside of that parentheses, that set of parentheses, is the subject of the array. So those are the values. And notice here that we're not declaring the keys, and that's what I was referring to earlier, is that we're not saying 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 or whatever. We're just saying apples, oranges, grapes, and pears. And what PHP is going to do is it's automatically going to assign keys to these values, so that apples will be 0, oranges will be 1, grapes will be 2, and pears will be 3. Let's look at that on the next slide in a comparative form. Okay, so in orange or yellow is the actual way that we declared the fruit array, right? But the table below is just for demonstration purposes, and it shows you the way that PHP would actually assign keys to those values. Okay, and if you look at the order in which the values appear inside the array, you'll realize that the keys get assigned the same order in terms of the numeric order. Okay. Also, it's important to notice that the very first key that's created is 0. It's not 1, it's 0. This is really important to keep in mind. Computers start counting at 0. If you sort of forget this seemingly minor point, you're going to trip up in your logic somewhere down the road. So make sure you remember that it always starts at 0. Okay, so we've looked at that table, but how can we actually retrieve that information about the key and the value from PHP? Okay, well, let's do a demonstration.